Okay, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the parallel session, you enjoyed the speed searching, the photo exhibition, the tour of the library for the ones of you that came. And now you are going to make an experience. This morning I cited that some of the pilots consolidated their methodology and their experience, and then they tested it. So this is the case of the dancing philosophy pilot, that again, I invite you tomorrow to go to see them and talk with them to see all the layer of their project. One part of the project has been to develop and consolidate a concept that started before the pilot. It was not foreseen to do that during the pilot, so our friends of the Cardion Company took the opportunity to do that. And then they tested the framework, and now you will enjoy the outcome of this experience.
I could die sitting down. We are sitting. Too often we are sitting. We are not always seated. Sometimes we sit out of necessity, sometimes out of habit, usually without thinking. We don't know how to be seated, and maybe we don't know even to walk. How are you sitting today, in the moment? Do you have both the feet on the ground? Or maybe just one foot? Or even just a part of one foot? Have you crossed your legs? Are you leaning off back of the chair or not? Did you put your arm over you? Or hanging at your sides? Finger crossed? Or maybe something in the hand? Observe how you sit. And let's do an experiment together. If you like, you can close your eyes to feel more. Can you put your feet next to each other on the floor and move your toes inside your shoes? All the toes together. And now, one after the other. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's difficult. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 5, 1. Now let's look at how we sit on the chair. We are sitting on two ends of the pelvis, called the ischium. We have one on the right and one on the left. To understand better, put your hand between the chair and the pelvis. You should feel the two round bars, one on the right and one on the left. And now try passing the bone in front of the hand and over the hand and behind the hand. And try again. Top, front, top, back. Top, front, top, back. Thank you. Take your hand off and do the same thing, rolling onto your ischium. Top, front, top, back, top, front, top, back. And now try passing, try to put the weight on one side. And the other side. And again, one side and the other side. Thank you. And then we try to find the middle. As much in front as behind, as much to the right and to the left. And then we are going to wake up your skin by rubbing to stimulate heat. We start with the arm. Outside and inside. And the other arm. And now the legs. The top of the legs and the bottom of the legs. And then try to do one leg after the other. And letting the rest of the body follow as it feels. Now the hand is in contact. And I try to touch the ceiling. More, more, more. And then I cross my finger and I put my hand on my head. And I try to move my elbow toward the ceiling. I continue to push my head in my hand. I never stop to push my head in my hand. And then I try to find the middle, and I start to see on the right with the eyes. And then on the left. And the right. and on the left. And I try to find the middle. I continue to push with my head in my hand. And I look up and I look down. And I look up and I look down. And I find the middle. Gently, I remove my hand. And I feel how this experience I changed the tone of my back. We have just done a little perceptive experiment to become aware of how we're sitting. Also to stimulate and awaken the tonic muscles, the deep muscles, the postural muscles of the spine. There are the muscles that work without you even think about it. Muscles that don't get tired. Muscles that remain toned even in static position. Be Seated is the research and creation project based on the seated position. As a first step in this research, we chose to analyze the way we sit and stand. Sitting means changing your support, transferring your body weight from the feet on your pelvis. The starting position is with support on the feet. The finishing position is with support on the pelvis. To analyze this commonplace action, we decided to experiment by involving people in the participatory project. We launched a casting call. In the same way as we look for extras or actors for a film, we asked people to make a short video about this banal action. It's usual to ask applicants to film themselves doing something in the film world. But it's less ordinary not to have a character to play or a definite context for the action to be carried out. And it's strange in a casting that normally feels into a narrative framework. You can see that people have tried to personalize the action a little, but you can still see 64 people doing the action. There are the video you are watching. We can see 64 people sitting down and standing up. This is our database. To analyze this action, we use a technical language called Laban kinetography. It's a language for writing movement. We produce a score for each of the participants. By looking at the scores corresponding to the way each participant sits, we are projected into a dimension that is very different from the banal action. Thanks to a codified language, we can see the variety and the complexity of the action, the different bodily strategies. And from this, we can already establish criteria for analyzing and comparing the data. Today, we have invited on one of the participants, Thomas. Please, Thomas, stand up and sit down again. It's the way he sits. Thomas is closer to describing the action as it can be described in terms of its etymology. There are fewer secondary reactions than those described in other scrolls. That's not to say that is better or less easy, but it's objectively simpler. More streamlined on the reading of the action thanks to the analysis tools offered by Laban kinetography. Before handing over to Daniele Barranca, I would like to share with you another line of song wish, given the context. I think is worth exploring. In the research profession, we are very often in a seated position to work, to speak, to read, to write, to produce sound and content. Why might it relevant to study the way we sit and stay seated? How can the tonicity of the sitting position influence the result and the health of the individual? How might not assuming this position also influence the way we work, the context, and our results?
What I am about to read has already been expressed by me on Wednesday. I chose not to say anything new during my talk at the Connect, Collaborate, Create conference today. Be Seated is a project that explores the relationship between multitude and singularity. Singularity represents each individual event, such as the present, me generating or reporting content around the project. The multitude of expression, on the other hand, introduce a complex articulation of meaning, the synthesis of which tends toward the ideal. The ideal depiction of be seated is, on the other hand, simply the seated individual. The combination of these ideals converge into an active figure that justifies the entire work. Just as there is no one way to sit, there is no one way to explain the project. I propose that the audience take an active part in this collective reinterpretation of an ordinary gesture, in this reappropriation of a collective figure. I transcribed with help of a speech-to-text application and posted on a dedicated page on the beseated.art. website, transcript for AI, some reflection of the project. Then I asked the chat GTP to rework the reported contents. This elaboration are published on beseated.art on the page What AI Says About the Project. I quote ChatGPT. Web page represent not only a technological breakthrough, but also an epistemological shift in the way we relate to information and content creation. ChatGPT's ability to dialogue through Bing symbolizes the shift from a passive interaction with search engine to a more active and dynamic one, where the AI becomes an intermediary between the user and information. The new section of bct.r dedicated to communication with AI will be a dynamic place where transcripts of video message sent to participants are continuously analyzed and interpreted through artificial intelligence. This innovative use of AI has the potential to free artists to create and creators from some of traditional restriction. Often in the world of art and communication, there is constant pressure to condense, synthesis, and present one work in ways that are immediately accessible and understandable to the public. This can at times limit and depth of artistic expression. I then asked ChatGPT to reprocess the content with the help of artificial intelligence. However, there is the possibility of exploring a new horizon. Artists no longer have to worry exclusively about how their work will be perceived or interpreted. They can focus on the creation itself, knowing that AI can help bridge any communication gap. In a way, this could see the birth of an era in which artistic creation is freer, uncontaminated by external concerns, and ultimately more authentic. Now I invite 4 volunteers from the audience to come on stage, sit in my seat, and read some of the sentence ChatGPT has developed. You will participate in the project through an act of sitting and speaking, reporting, however, content that is the result of a collaborative reworking between author, the singularity, and machine, the multitude. For volunteers?
So I read this. The chair. The chair emerged as an incisive metaphor for the interaction between representation and reality, oscillating between the abstract and the concrete. Although it is universally perceived as part of the everyday, it lends itself to interpretations and meanings that change according to context and perspective. On some occasions, this object may represent a simple utilitarian tool, while on others it takes on a symbolic role with profound implications. This duality illuminates the inherent difficulty in defining and understanding reality among an infinity of interpretations. The universal concept of chair and sitting, despite being rooted in our shared experiences, eludes rigid and absolute definitions. What appears self-evident and indisputable to some may reveal, on closer analysis, multiple facets. People's approach to the chair and the very act of sitting become manifestations of multiple experiences and perceptions of reality. Both art and science attempt to approach and understand the continuous tension between the ideal world of ideas and tangible reality. The chair therefore transcends its physicality to become a mental construct influenced by cultural and historical factors. This reflection shows how common objects can become instruments of deep introspection, emphasizing the importance of perception and interpretation in our relationship with the world around us.
Ideality and reality, artistic explorations of the act of sitting. The text from the webpage Transcripts for AI outlines an artistic investigation that unfolds through the semiotic and physical act of sitting, dissecting the aesthetic and conceptual implications that emerge from such an everyday gesture. The discourse plunges into the dichotomy between ideality and materiality, placing art in opposition and dialogue with scientific investigation. The artistic project described manifests a critical tension towards the understanding of ideality, inviting a plurality of interpretations through the participatory interaction of the public. This process of involvement and reflection creates a fabric of investigation that extends beyond art, touching on areas of scientific and philosophical reflection. Through the action of sitting, the project creates a field of aesthetic investigation that merges with a social and philosophical critique, proposing a reflection on ideality and reality. The action of sitting becomes a metaphor for the human condition, a symbol that catalyzes a broader reflection of existence and ideality. The text suggests an understanding of art as a vehicle for critical inquiry, a medium through which to explore the tension between ideality and reality, between the individual and the collective. The author of the text also explores the relationship between art and science, suggesting that both disciplines navigate between theoretical ideality and practical realization. In particular, the text reflects on ideal conditions, suggesting that these represent a kind of aspiration in both art and science. However, while science attempts to approach these conditions through empirical validation, art explores them through material realization and creative expression. The multiplicity of interpretations and experiences that emerge from the project highlight the complexity of the exploration of ideality. Each participant brings a unique perspective, yet together they contribute to a collective understanding of ideality and reality. This dynamic highlights the multifaceted nature of artistic and scientific exploration, suggesting that both disciplines can benefit from a shared critical reflection on ideal and real conditions. In sum, the art project described in the text stands as a social and aesthetic experiment that invites critical reflection on ideality, reality, and their relationship to human experience. Through participatory interaction and critical reflection, art becomes a field of inquiry that goes beyond mere aesthetic representation, proposing a deeper understanding of the human condition and our relationship to ideality and reality.
It's late. We stop here. It's a present for you. You can read at home. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.